My name is David Harrison, and I'm 61 years old now. This story takes place 8 years ago, when I was 53 and learning that sometimes the smallest acts of compassion can create ripples that change multiple lives in ways you never anticipate. I'd built my wealth through technology investments in my 20s and 30s, selling my stake in a software company, just before the dot-com crash and reinvesting wisely. By my early 50s, I had more money than I could reasonably spend, a comfortable life, and a daughter named Emma who was 8 years old at the time. I was a widower. My wife Catherine had died when Emma was just 3, from complications during what should have been a routine surgery. The grief had been crushing, but Emma needed me, so I'd learned to function through the pain. We'd built a life together, just the two of us, navigating loss and learning to find joy again despite the hole Catherine's absence had left. That particular Tuesday afternoon, Emma and I were doing our weekly grocery shopping at the neighborhood supermarket. It wasn't one of those upscale, organic markets that many people in my income bracket frequented. I'd deliberately chosen to live in a mixed-income neighborhood and shop at regular stores because I wanted Emma to grow up understanding that not everyone lived the way we did. That privilege came with responsibility. Emma loved helping with the grocery shopping, carefully selecting items from our list and putting them in the cart. She was a thoughtful child, old enough to understand that we were fortunate, but young enough to still see the world with fresh eyes, noticing things that adults often overlook. We were in the dairy aisle when Emma tugged on my sleeve. "Daddy, look!" I followed her gaze to a young woman a few feet away, standing at the milk section. She was probably in her late 20s, with dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing a gray hoodie that had seen better days. But what caught my attention was the baby she held in one arm, an infant, maybe 3 or 4 months old. While with her other hand, she reached for a container of milk, hesitated, checked the price, then reluctantly put it in her cart. Behind the young woman stood a little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old, wearing a bright yellow jacket that was slightly too large for her. The girl had been reaching toward the milk, but when her mother put it in the cart, she smiled with relief. The woman looked exhausted in a way I recognized from my early days of single parenthood, that bone-deep weariness that comes from constant worry and insufficient sleep. Her cart contained only essentials, the cheapest brands of basics, nothing extra, nothing that wasn't absolutely necessary. As Emma and I continued shopping, I found myself noticing this woman throughout the store. She was carefully comparing prices, choosing the most economical options, occasionally putting things back when the total in her cart seemed to exceed some invisible budget she was working with. Emma noticed too. "That lady looks sad," she whispered, "and her baby doesn't have a blanket. It's cold in here." She was right. The infant was wearing only a thin onesie, inadequate for the air-conditioned store. The baby wasn't crying, but seemed listless in a way that concerned me. We finished our shopping and headed to the checkout. I was behind several people in line, still able to see various parts of the store. That's when I saw the woman again, now at the front of another checkout line. The cashier was ringing up her items. I watched as the total climbed and the woman's face grew more stressed. When the cashier announced the total, I saw the woman's face fall. She said something I couldn't hear, and the cashier nodded sympathetically. Then the woman did something that made my chest tighten. She reached into her cart and pulled out the container of milk, the one item her daughter had been so happy to see added to the cart, and handed it back to the cashier. "I'm sorry," I heard her say, her voice carrying across the store in a quiet moment. "I don't have enough. Can you remove this?" The little girl in the yellow jacket looked up at her mother, confusion and disappointment crossing her face. "Mommy, what about breakfast?" "We'll make do, sweetheart," the woman said, her voice breaking slightly. "It's okay." The cashier removed the milk from the total. The woman paid with carefully counted bills and coins, clearly using every dollar she had. She gathered her few bags, took her daughter's hand, and headed toward the exit, the baby still listless in her other arm. I looked down at Emma, who had witnessed the entire scene with wide, sad eyes. "Daddy, she couldn't buy milk for her little girl, and she has a baby too. Why doesn't she have enough money?" How do you explain poverty to an 8-year-old who's never experienced want? Sometimes people have hard times, sweetheart. Sometimes they're doing their best, but it's still not enough. Can we help them? I'd already been thinking the same thing. Yes, Emma, I think we can. I quickly paid for our groceries, then told Emma to wait with our cart for just a moment. I grabbed another cart and filled it rapidly. Milk, infant formula, diapers, baby food, bread, eggs, chicken, fruits, vegetables, pasta, sauce, cereal, peanut butter, jelly, cheese, juice. Everything I thought a struggling family might need, plus some extras, a warm baby blanket, a small stuffed animal for the little girl, some basic toiletries. The cart was full within minutes. Emma watched with approval as I rushed through the checkout again. Paying for everything. What are we going to do? Emma asked as we loaded both carts. Ours and the one for the woman, and headed toward the parking lot. We're going to help that family. Can you help me look for them? We scanned the parking lot and spotted the woman loading her few bags into an old car that looked one breakdown away from being undrivable. The little girl was already in a car seat in the back, and the woman was trying to buckle the infant into a car seat while juggling her bags. I pushed the second cart over to where she was parked. Excuse me, ma'am? She looked up, startled and slightly defensive. When you're struggling, unexpected approaches from strangers are often cause for concern, not hope. I'm sorry to bother you, I said quickly, but my daughter and I saw what happened at the checkout and we wanted to help. We bought some groceries for your family. Please, will you accept them? The woman stared at the overflowing cart, then at me, then at Emma, who was standing beside me with an encouraging smile. I don't understand. You bought all this? For us? Yes, ma'am. Because you shouldn't have to choose between feeding your children and paying your bills. Because everyone deserves help when they need it. Her eyes filled with tears. I can't accept this. It's too much. You don't even know me. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you have 2 children who need to eat, and we're in a position to help. Please let us help. The woman's composure cracked. She started crying, trying to muffle her sobs. So she wouldn't wake the baby, she'd just buckled into the car seat. You don't understand what this means. I just lost my job last week. My savings ran out. My rent is overdue. I was trying to figure out how to make $12 last for the next 3 days until my unemployment. Check comes through. I had to choose what to feed my girls, and there wasn't room in the budget for milk. She looked at the cart full of groceries. This is more than I've had in weeks. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me. Just let me help you load it into your car. As we transferred the groceries, the little girl in the yellow jacket pressed her face against the car window, watching with wide eyes. When she saw the milk, her face lit up with such pure joy that I felt tears in my own eyes. You got the milk back, Mommy? She called out. Better than that, sweetheart, the woman said, her voice still thick with emotion. This nice man and his daughter got us lots of food. Once everything was loaded, the woman extended her hand. I'm Jennifer. Jennifer Martinez. And thank you doesn't seem like enough, but thank you. You have no idea what this means to my family. I'm David, and this is my daughter Emma, and actually I do know what it means. I was a single parent trying to make ends meet once, too, before some fortunate investments changed my circumstances. I remember what it felt like to stand in a checkout line doing mental math, praying the total wouldn't exceed what I had in my wallet. Jennifer wiped her eyes. I feel like I'm dreaming. Things like this don't happen in real life. They do, Emma piped up. Daddy says we should help people. When we can, because that's what makes the world better. Jennifer smiled at Emma through her tears. Your daddy is right, and you're a very special little girl for caring about people you don't even know. Before we parted, I did something that felt right in the moment. I pulled out my wallet and handed Jennifer my business card along with 5 $100 bills. I can't take that, Jennifer protested, looking at the cash. You've already done so much. Please, for your rent, for gas money, for whatever you need to get through the next few weeks while you figure things out. And call me at that number if you need anything else. Job references. Help finding work, anything. I have connections in various industries. Maybe I can help. Jennifer stared at the money and the card like they were artifacts from another world. Why are you doing this? You don't know me. I could be anyone. You're someone who's struggling to take care of your children. That's all I need to know. Take care of your girls, Jennifer. And remember that accepting help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Emma gave Jennifer's older daughter a small wave through the car window, and the little girl waved back enthusiastically. As Jennifer drove away, Emma took my hand. That was good, right, Daddy? We helped them? Yes, sweetheart. We helped them. The baby didn't even have a blanket. Now it does. And the little girl gets to have milk for breakfast. That's right. Emma was quiet for a moment. Daddy, we're really lucky, aren't we? We never have to worry about whether we can buy milk. We're very lucky, Emma. That's why it's important to help others when we can. I thought that would be the end of it. A single good deed. A moment of connection, then moving on with our separate lives. But Jennifer called the number on my card 2 days later. Mr. Harrison, it's Jennifer Martinez from the grocery store. I hope it's okay that I'm calling. Of course. How are you? How are your girls? We're good. Better than good, actually, thanks to you. My daughters have been eating real meals for the first time in weeks. The baby seems more alert with the proper formula. And I was able to pay my rent, which means we won't be evicted. I'm so glad. But I'm not calling just to thank you again, though I do thank you. I'm calling because you said you might be able to help me find work. I'm a certified medical billing specialist, but I lost my job when the clinic I worked for closed suddenly. I've been applying everywhere but haven't had any luck. Send me your resume. I know several people in healthcare administration. Let me see what I can do. Over the following weeks, I made calls, sent emails, leveraged connections I'd built over decades in business. I wasn't trying to get Jennifer special treatment. She hadn't earned. Her credentials were solid. I was simply trying to get her foot in the door, to get her applications actually seen by human eyes, rather than filtered out by automated systems. 3 weeks after our grocery store encounter, Jennifer started a new position at a large medical practice with good pay and benefits. She called to tell me, crying again, but this time from relief and gratitude. I can support my girls now. We're going to be okay. I'm so happy for you, Jennifer. Can I take you and Emma to dinner? To say thank you properly? It won't be anywhere fancy, but I'd really like to do something. Emma and I met Jennifer and her daughters, Mia, the 5-year-old, and Sophia, the infant, at a casual family restaurant the following weekend. It was a simple meal, nothing elaborate, but it was warm with genuine connection and gratitude. Mia and Emma hit it off immediately, discovering they both loved drawing and telling elaborate, imaginative stories. Sophia, now properly fed and cared for, was alert and smiley in a way she hadn't been that day in the grocery store. She was failing to thrive, Jennifer admitted quietly while the girls colored together. I didn't have money for enough formula, so I was watering it down to make it last longer. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't know what else to do. I was trying to breastfeed, but my milk had dried up from stress and malnutrition. The formula and food you bought literally saved her life. The gravity of that hit me hard. I'd thought I was helping a struggling family. I hadn't realized I was potentially saving a baby's life. Thank God you were there that day, Jennifer continued. Thank God you cared enough to notice and to help. You changed everything for us. That dinner began a friendship that has lasted 8 years. Jennifer became part of our extended family, and her daughters became like sisters to Emma. We celebrated holidays together, supported each other through challenges, shared joys and sorrows. Jennifer thrived in her new job, eventually being promoted to supervisor. She moved to a better apartment, then bought a small house. She paid me back every dollar I'd given her that day, though I'd insisted it was a gift, not a loan. It's important to me, she explained. Not because I don't appreciate what you did, but because I need to know I can take care of my family myself. Accepting help when I desperately needed it was necessary. But now I'm in a position to stand on my own feet, and that matters. I understood. Dignity matters. Independence matters. Knowing you can survive through your own efforts matters. But Jennifer did something else with her restored stability. She started helping others. She volunteered at food banks, donated to family shelters, and made a point of noticing people who were struggling the way she once had. You taught me something that day, she told me once, that noticing matters. That caring about strangers matters. That we all have a responsibility to help each other. I can't give people thousands of dollars like you did, but I can buy groceries for a struggling mom. I can donate to organizations that help families in crisis. I can notice and care. Emma learned something too. That encounter in the grocery store, followed by years of friendship with Jennifer's family, shaped her understanding of privilege, responsibility, and compassion. She volunteered at food banks as a teenager. She chose social work as her college major, wanting to help families like Jennifer's navigate difficult times. She learned to notice, to care, to act. That day in the grocery store changed my life. Emma told me recently. She's 16 now, thoughtful and compassionate. I was 8 years old, and I saw a woman who had to put back milk because she couldn't afford it. And I saw you step in to help without judgment, without making her feel ashamed. You showed me what it means to use privilege responsibly. Now, 8 years later, I think about that Tuesday afternoon often. About a tired young mother trying to stretch $12 across 3 days. About a little girl in a yellow jacket watching her mother put back milk they needed. About an infant failing to thrive because her mother couldn't afford adequate formula. I think about how easy it would have been to look away, to mind my own business, to tell myself it wasn't my problem. And I think about how much would have been lost if I had. Jennifer might have been evicted, ending up in a shelter or on the streets with 2 young children. Sophia's health might have deteriorated further. Mia might have gone to bed hungry for nights on end. The trajectory of their lives could have been completely different, harder, darker, more desperate. Instead, the cost of a cart full of groceries and a few $100s changed everything. Not because I was particularly heroic or exceptional, but because I noticed and I cared enough to act. That's what I want people to understand from this story. That life-changing help doesn't always require grand gestures or enormous resources. Sometimes it's as simple as buying groceries for a struggling mother. Sometimes it's making a phone call on someone's behalf. Sometimes it's just noticing when someone is in crisis and choosing to do something about it. The people in that grocery store that day saw what was happening. They saw Jennifer count out her last dollars. They saw her put back the milk. They saw her daughter's disappointed face. But I was the only one who acted. And that wasn't because I was wealthier or better. It was because Emma pointed out someone in need and asked if we could help. Sometimes we need an 8-year-old's clear-eyed compassion to break through our adult tendency to look away from suffering, to tell ourselves it's not our business, to maintain comfortable distance from other people's struggles. Jennifer tells her story now when she volunteers, hoping to inspire others to notice and help people struggling around them. Someone noticed me on my worst day, she says. Someone saw me as a person deserving of help rather than as a statistic or a problem. And that act of seeing, of caring, of helping, it saved my family. She's right. It did save her family, but it also changed mine. Emma and I both learned that wealth without compassion is meaningless, that privilege carries responsibility, that noticing and caring about others is what makes us fully human. The groceries cost maybe $200. The cash I gave Jennifer was $500. $700 total, probably less than I'd spent on a single business dinner in my former life. But that $700, given at the right moment to someone who desperately needed it, had an impact that far exceeded its monetary value. It kept a family housed. It restored an infant's health. It gave a mother the breathing room she needed to find stable employment. It created a friendship that has enriched all our lives. And it taught 2 children, Emma and Mia, that kindness matters, that people help each other, that hope is reasonable even in desperate circumstances. That's the return on investment that actually matters. Not the financial return, but the human return. The ripple effects of compassion spreading outward, changing lives, creating connection, making the world incrementally better. 8 years later, I'm grateful for that Tuesday afternoon in a grocery store. Grateful that Emma pointed out someone in need. Grateful that I listened to that small voice asking if we could help. Grateful that I acted on the impulse to care about a stranger and her children. Because sometimes the most important moments in our lives are the simplest ones. Seeing someone struggle, recognizing their humanity, and choosing to help in whatever way we can. That's what shocked everyone that day. Not that I bought groceries for a stranger, but that I cared enough to notice she needed help in the first place. But really, that's not shocking at all, or at least it shouldn't be. Because we're all just people trying to make our way through difficult lives. And so,